Mic check, mic check. Am I audible? Welcome to another episode of Bitcoin Developers. I am your host, Connor Okas. So let's get into this part two or part one, I guess. In this video, we are going to go through this section about setting up our Lightning node. This includes a new mnemonic is generated or provided by the user. We're gonna connect to our Esplora server. We're gonna connect to our Rapid Gossip Sync server for fast syncing. We're gonna establish a connection so that we can get just-in-time channel functionality, which will enable us to be able to receive inbound without having a channel in the first instance. So we're going to go and have a look at trying to get all of that set up. So I've got my terminal running with my build server and my simulator open. So let's jump into some code. I've got VS Code open here. So if you open the useWallet.ts file and then head down to this buildNode function, let's just open this here. So we have this use wallet function that's got a few hooks that we can use to display different types of information on our home screen when we get to that. But first, let's just go about trying to set up our Lightning node first. So let's have a look here. So one of the things we want to do is we want to have a place to store like logs and information and activity that's happening on our node, and we need to do that. We need to store the information in some kind of directory. So we'll store it locally in a local directory for now, and we can do that by, so let's do a doc directory, and it's equal to RNFS document directory path, and we can just concatenate and let's call the path, what should we call it here? Let's call it new underscore LDK node. We'll close it, and then let's also add the platform as well. So we'll do $ platform dot we'll do version. Actually, we'll use the version in this case. Cool. So we've got our directory path. What else do we want to do? Let's we can log it to the console as well, just to make sure that works later on. So we'll log the platform version and call it so this is mostly just for debugging purposes really, and then we want to put quotes around it. Cool. So we've got our data directory. We're gonna want to have a listening address so we can listen in for like inbound connections when we're connecting to peers and stuff. So we're running it on our local machine, so we'll just use localhost for now, which is usually 1.7.0.1. Cool. And then yeah, let's start trying to build out the actual node now. So let's open a try catch block. Open a try catch block. Yeah, we'll go with that. And then let's see. So the first thing we want to do is assign that the document directory path to a variable. So we'll go const, let's call it storage path, and it won't be equal to that, but it'll be equal to our doc directory. Next thing we want to do is, if you want to see what that path looks like, we can also just log it to the console. We also need a port for our listening address. So we've got the IP address, but we also need to use a port. So we'll set it to, it's going to be a number. So let's just set it to something like 39735, a port that we know is not used. And then let's have a comment here. So next thing we want to do is like initialize the node config. And to initialize the node config, we can call const config equals await. This is an async function config. And this await and this config has a create function on it, and here we can pass in a few things. So as you can see, we need to pass in a storage path directory, a logger directory path, the network, a listening address, and some other stuff as well that I believe is optional. Yeah, so everything after listening address is optional. So we'll just give it the 3 or 4 things that are required. So let's see here. So that first one was the storage directory path. So let's give it that storage path. Let's also give it the a path for the log. So anytime we want to see what's actually happening, maybe at the network level, or if there's some errors occurred, we can go and see what's happened. So let's do, we have our document directory path, and then we'll do plus, and then we'll just create a folder called logs, or a file called logs, I should say. And then the next thing is the network. So we're going to be working on Signet, so we're not going to be using any real coins. And then the last thing we want to do is pass in and listening address, which is of type net address, which I believe comes, it's part of our LDK node bindings folder. So there's a type in there called net address. So what does it actually take though? It takes an array of net addresses. Okay, cool. So we'll give it an array of new net addresses and paste in, is that right? New, I guess. And it just takes host and port. So cool. So that's pretty much all we need for a config. There are some other options that we can maybe dive into in later videos, but that should suffice for now. Cool. So now let's build the node. So we have this config, so we're going to build the node now. So we'll call const builder equals new builder. Yeah, that's not right. New builder. So I think build is actually an async function as well. So what we can do is we can call await new builder, and that's a function, and on there it has a from config, and then we just pass in our config there. And then once we have this builder object, we can basically set different properties on it. So this is where we can set our Esplora instance, our Rapid Gossip Sync instance, and stuff like that. So we can call await builder dot set network is 1, I believe. Yep. So if we go down to set network, we can set the network to Signet. We can also call await builder, await builder dot, and we can set the Esplora server as well. What is our Esplora server? So if we go back to here, our Esplora server, we can find here MutinyNet. Cool. And then next we can set the rapid gossip sync server that we want to connect to. Builder dot set set gossip source RGS. And if we head back to here, we can find the endpoint for that, which will deliver us a snapshot. Cool. And then what else do we want to do? We want to, let's go back and see, we want to set the mnemonic as well. So that will allow us to recover our funds in the event of losing our device or whatever. So I think it's called, yeah, builder.set. Is it set mnemonic? Or is it, let's see what it actually is. Dot set BIP39 mnemonic. Cool. And then we pass in our mnemonic. Nice. Cool. Next thing we want to do is try to connect to an LSP now. So let's establish some variables for our LSP. So const, let's call it, let's just say LSP node address. So an LSP is just a node, more infrastructure kind of node that's going to be, in this instance, is going to provide us inbound liquidity. So the IP address I have for this node is I'm going to paste this over. So this is going to be, we're going to try and connect to the liquid LSP, just for, if anyone missed it in the last video, liquid.money provide LSP services. So if you want to read more about them, you can there. But there are a range of different LSP providers out there. This is just one of them. Cool. What else do we need for our LSP? We need their public key as well. So we can do const LSP, and we'll call it node pub key, and we'll set it equal to what their pub key is, which I've got here. I'll paste this in the description as well, so you guys can just copy it over, or I'll just make a commit and you can check it out on the repo directly. And then const, we need a token to authenticate with the LSP, but in this case I think it's unauthenticated, so I'm going to leave it blank for now. Cool. And then next thing we want to do is to ensure that we've properly connected to the LSP. Let's set those variables for our LSP on our builder object, and then log some kind of response that we get from the LSP to make sure that we are properly connected. So we can call this let's call it LSP response maybe, and we're gonna await our builder dot set, what do we have here? Yeah, so we've got set liquidity source LSP2. This takes in all of the, so this takes in an address, a public key, and a token. So we can kind of copy all of those in there. And then when we get a response from the LSP to see if we successfully connected, we'll just log that to the console. Cool. So nearly there. The last little bit is now we want to, let's see, we want to essentially build the node object now. So I think if we call const node equals which is of type node, and we set it equal to await builder.build, and then let's see, and then we can try and actually start the node. So let's make a comment here, which is where we're actually starting the node. So we can do started equals await node dot start, and then in our hook, so we have let's see here, so we've got a hook here that we can use to establish on whether the node has started or not. So we'll call let's call a set started function. Let's call set started with started, and then we'll just have like a little if statement here. We'll say if it has started, then we'll log something else. We'll log something else. So if it started, maybe we'll just log some like a success message or something. I don't know. So like console.log, we'll log the node started successfully, and if it didn't, we'll just say like failed to start or something. There you go. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Maybe we want to get some of the node info as well, maybe, so we can just see what the node info we have, so we can maybe get our own node ID, and we can call node dot is it get node ID, or it's, let's see what it is, dot node ID, cool, and that's a function. I guess we can also get our listening address, just make sure we set that properly. Let's see, await listening does not exist. Maybe that's not what it's called. Dot listening address. Cool. And then yeah, I guess we can log those two things as well. Console.log node ID and then the listening address. And then if somewhere we get an error in here, hopefully it will catch it and then just log it to the console for us here. So that's pretty much it. Let's quickly run through it again. So we have a storage path for login and other types of Lightning information, opening channels, channel peers, state, all that kind of stuff. And then we just basically set all of our services that we're connecting to. We're going to be on Signet, so no real money. We set the mnemonic. We pass in all of the information for our LSP. We build the node, we start the node, and then we just log some of the node's information. Cool. So let's head back over to our terminal and our simulator. Or maybe we can do it like this actually. We'll go like this, and I'll make this a bit smaller, and then I'll bring up the simulator to the side. Yeah, that's nice. I wonder if I can make it a bit bigger. Nice. Okay, so I'm just going to do Command R to refresh, and then I'm going to call start node. Cool. That looks like it did something. So no errors. Let's head over to our terminal and see if we've got some output here. Let's see if I can move this over, because I've got the QR code kind of in the way there. Let me move this. Let me minimize this quickly. And just do that for you guys. So Let's see what I was output. So we have the platform version 18.3.1. Then we've got the storage path, which all of our data information is going to be stored here under data application documents LDK node 18.3.1. I actually think that's a little error. Let's see, because I actually want to, yeah, so let's go back slightly and we'll just close that off there as well. But that's a minor thing. And then we got our response from our LSP as true. So it looks like we authenticated successfully with them. Then we got the node started successfully message. Then we logged our node ID. So our node ID is this. Then we listed our listening address, which is basically local host and the port we set. So they picked that up fine. And yeah, that's about it really. So awesome. So we've got our node started, built successfully. And as you can see, it goes over to our home screen here, where we can start to add in the rest of our functionality. So the next thing we want to do is going to be, we'll try and display the on-chain balance. So we'll send some funds and trying to receive and display our on-chain balance. Cool. So hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Scan the QR code to send a tip. All donations will be circled back to the free open source Bitcoin community. You can also use the Bitcoin address pay@bitcoindevelopers.xyz. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.